A desperate escape. In the cold depths of space, a small starship fled from a pursuing armada. On board was Princess Zara, a young woman whose defiance of her tyrannical father, Emperor Kavak, had marked her for death. Zara's hands flew over the controls as laser fire rocked the ship. She knew there would be no mercy if she was captured. Her father's cruelty was legendary, and her betrayal unforgivable. Another blast hit, alarm screaming. The ship lurched, throwing Zara from her seat. Pain lanced through her body as she struggled back to the controls, desperate. "I'd rather die than go back," she whispered, blood trickling from her lip. With a final surge of strength, Zara pushed the ship into a wild dive, hurling towards a blue-green planet below. The ship plummeted through the atmosphere, hull glowing red. Zara fought to keep control, but the ground was rushing up too fast. With a sickening crunch, the ship slammed into the earth, metal shrieking as it tore itself apart. Zara's head smashed into the console and darkness closed in. As fire began to flicker around her broken body, her last thought was one of defiance. She had escaped, even if it meant her own end. The wreckage burned as night fell on the alien planet, the glow of the flames the only sign of the desperate struggle that had just taken place. And in the twisted remains of the once proud ship, Zara lay still, her fate now in the hands of an unknown world. Stranded on an alien world, pain dragged Zara back to consciousness. Every breath hurt, every movement sent agony lancing through her body. She lay still, trying to understand where she was, what had happened. Memory returned in flashes. The chase, the crash, the fire. Slowly, painfully, Zara pulled herself from the wreckage. Every movement a struggle. She collapsed onto the sand, the strange alien soil harsh against her skin. The sun beat down, hotter than any she had known. Zara looked around, seeing nothing but endless red desert in every direction. No help, no hope, only the ruins of her ship, a tomb she had narrowly escaped. She had no choice. Zara pulled herself to her feet, fighting back a scream as her injuries protested. She had to find shelter, water, something to tend to her wounds. The alternative was a slow death under this merciless sun. Each step was a battle, her strength fading with every passing minute. The world blurred, heat distorting the horizon. Zara's mind began to drift. Memories of her life in the palace, the stifling control, the cruelty she had seen and endured. "No," she whispered, forcing herself onward. She had fought too hard to die like this, alone on a barren world. But her body could only take so much. Zara's legs gave out, and she fell, the hard ground rushing up to meet her. As darkness closed in once again, Zara thought she saw a shape on the horizon, a flicker of movement. But it was too late. The world faded away, and Zara knew no more, never seeing the figure that moved towards her across the sands. An unlikely alliance. Ethan had seen many strange things in his years wandering the desert, but a crashed starship was a new one. He approached cautiously, hand on his holster, ready for anything. What he found stunned him. Among the wreckage was a woman, battered and broken. But she wasn't human. Her skin had an iridescent sheen, her hair a metallic glimmer. An alien. Ethan's first instinct was to walk away. He had left the troubles of the wider galaxy behind for a reason. But something stopped him. He couldn't leave her here to die. Carefully, Ethan gathered the unconscious alien into his arms and began the long trek back to his shelter. Days passed. The alien drifted in and out of consciousness as Ethan tended to her, using what meager medical supplies he had. He didn't know if it would be enough. Her injuries were severe, and he was no doctor. On the 5th day, she awakened fully. Ethan found himself staring into eyes of swirling silver, unlike anything he had ever seen. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice musical despite her obvious pain. "Safe," Ethan replied. "I'm Ethan. I found your ship. You were hurt." She was silent for a long moment. "I'm Zora," she said finally. "Thank you for saving me." As days turned to weeks, Zura regained her strength, and as she did, a bond began to form between the unlikely pair. Ethan learned her story of a cruel emperor father and a defiant princess. Zura learned his, of a soldier who had seen too much war, too much death, and had sought solace in solitude. "He'll come for me," Zora said one night, staring up at the stars. "My father won't let me go so easily." Ethan nodded, jaw tight. "Then we'll be ready." In that moment, an alliance was forged, a princess and a soldier, ready to stand against an empire. Hunted. The drones came at dawn, sleek and deadly, skimming over the desert sands. Ethan saw them first, a glint on the horizon, growing rapidly larger. "Zara," he yelled, bursting into the shelter. "We've got company." Zara was on her feet in an instant, snatching up the energy pistol Ethan had given her. They had prepared for this moment, but fear still gripped her heart. Outside, the drones circled, scanning, searching. Ethan and Zara crouched behind a rock formation, hardly daring to breathe. "They're here for me," Zora whispered. "I'm putting you in danger." Ethan's hand found hers, squeezing tight. "We're in this together. I'm not abandoning you." The drones were getting closer, their scans more focused. They knew their target was near. "We need to move," Ethan said, eyes tracking the machines. "Use the canyons. It's our only chance." They ran, darting from cover to cover, the hot sun beating down. The drones pursued, relentless, tireless. In the narrow confines of the canyons, Ethan and Zara made their stand. Laser fire scorched the rocks as they fought back, Ethan's battle-honed skills, and Zara's quick reflexes turning the tide. But more drones kept coming, an endless swarm. Ethan and Zara found themselves cornered, nowhere left to run. Ethan stepped forward, shielding Zara with his body. "When I say run, you run," he said, voice low and fierce. "Ethan, no," Zora cried, but it was too late. Ethan charged forward, firing with deadly accuracy, drawing the drone's attention. "Run, Zora. Run," he yelled. With tears in her eyes, Zara ran, Ethan's sacrifice buying her precious seconds. She didn't look back, even as the sounds of battle faded behind her, lost in the winding canyons. She ran until she could run no more, collapsing in a small cave, heart pounding. She was alive, but at what cost? Ethan had risked everything for her, and now he was gone. The Empire strikes back. Emperor Kavak's ship dominated the sky, a behemoth of steel and power. On the planet below, Zora watched, heart heavy with dread. She had evaded capture, but at a terrible price. Ethan was gone, his fate unknown. And now, her father had come himself to finish what his drones had started. A loudspeaker crackled to life, Kavak's voice booming across the desert. "Zara, my wayward daughter, this rebellion ends now. Surrender, and your death will be quick." Zara stood tall, Ethan's energy pistol in her hand. She remembered his courage, his selflessness, and it strengthened her resolve. "I will not surrender," she said, her voice ringing out clear and strong. "I will fight, as Ethan fought for me. You've taken everything from me, Father. You will not take my freedom." Kavak's rage was palpable, even from the ground. "So be it." The ship began to descend, a dark shadow blotting out the sun. Zara knew this was a battle she could not win, but still she stood, ready to face her fate. But as the ship drew closer, a new sound filled the air. The roar of engines, the scream of laser fire. Zara watched in disbelief as a small fighter, battered but fierce, hurtled towards Kavak's ship. "Ethan," she whispered, hardly daring to hope. The fighter danced around the larger ship, evading its fire, striking back with precision. It was a battle of David and Goliath, and against all odds, David was winning. Kavak's ship began to list, smoke pouring from gaping holes. The Emperor's fury turned to fear as he realized the tables had turned. In that moment, Zara knew what she had to do. She signaled to the fighter, a message only Ithan would understand. Then, as the fighter provided cover, she made her way to her own crashed ship. It was a desperate plan, but it was their only chance. With Ithan engaging Kavak's ship, Zara had a window to get to her ship, to send a message that could change everything. As she reached the wreckage, Zara paused, looking up at the battle raging overhead. "Thank you, Ithan," she whispered, "for everything." Then she stepped inside, ready to send a signal that would shake an empire to its core. Revolution sparked. The message spread like wildfire, from planet to planet, from system to system. It was a simple message, but one of profound power. "I am Princess Zora, and I declare my father, Emperor Kavak, a tyrant unfit to rule. I call upon all those who have suffered under his cruelty to rise up, to join me in overthrowing this oppressive regime. You are not alone. Stand with me, and together, we will be free." Across the empire, long dormant seeds of rebellion began to sprout. On 100 worlds, people took to the streets, Zora's name on their lips, her face a symbol of hope. On the desert planet, Ithan listened to the message, pride and fear warring in his heart. Zara had done it, sparked a revolution. But he knew Kavak would not let this stand. The Emperor would rain down fire upon all who opposed him. Ithan looked to the stars, to the gathering rebel ships glinting in the sky. He thought of Zara, of her bravery, her determination. She had started this, and he would see it through, no matter the cost. In the heart of the empire, Kavak raged. But even as he marshaled his forces to crush the rebellion, he knew something had changed. He had underestimated his daughter, underestimated the power of hope, and that mistake would be his undoing. On 100 battlefields, the war began, the might of the empire clashing with the fierce determination of the rebels. At the forefront of every battle was Zora, a shining beacon of freedom, and at her side, always, was Ithan. They fought for each other, for the countless souls oppressed by Kavak's rule, for a future free from fear. And with each victory, the revolution grew. The road ahead was long and hard, the final outcome uncertain. But as Zara and Ithan stood together, looking out over the stars, they knew one thing for certain. They would fight, together, until the end, whatever it might bring. For in each other, and in the cause they served, they had found something worth fighting for, something worth dying for. The empire would fall. Freedom would rise. And at the heart of it all, a bond unbreakable, a love forged in the fires of war. Together, Zara and Ithan would face the future, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The story ends, but the fight continues. A galaxy poised on the brink of change, its fate resting in the hands of a rebel princess and a soldier turned revolutionary. Their legend is only beginning.